Thank you very much. First up is Leilani Bronson-Curley.
Aloha, my name is Leilani Bronson-Curley, and I'm seeking your vote on August 9th for the seat in State House District 4. And I am running for this position because I feel I understand the needs and concerns of Puna. And I am not only passionate about making that happen, I have the strength and the conviction to do what it takes to make it happen. My 10 years in the legislature as a legislative aide in Maui County and as a city recorder and an elections official in Oregon give me the experience to move forward. I have, of course, drafted legislation, researched issues, built coalitions with stakeholders and residents. These are my experiences. I have experience as an activist on non-point source pollution issues as they affect our nearshore waters. As we know, what's above, so below. These are the activities of the Mauka lands can affect our shorelines, and so I say I would start with legislation to support a baseline study to show its health. I was also co-president of the League of Women Voters when we championed the Clean Elections Bill, which allowed campaigns such as ours to run with public funds instead of having to seek the support of special interest groups, PACs, and unions. As you can see in my campaign reports, I obtained all of my contributions from friends with ties to Hawaii. I have no endorsements from unions or PACs or any other special interest groups. And I think that that's critical because it shows where my focus and where my concern and where my responsibility lies. I have also worked for 7 years involved with all of the pressing issues of Hawaiian Paradise Park, having chaired the Fugitive Dust Committee and also the Puna Makai Alternate Route Committee. Also, I worked for 2 years in the office itself. I'm going to try to go through in the time I have on the pressing issues I feel impacting Puna and some of the solutions. Of course, labeling all GMO foods at a state level. This is a mandate. Supporting the county's home rule prohibiting any genetically engineered crops to be grown. Less expensive, more sustainable, and greener alternatives to our energy. Why are we paying the highest in the nation? Actually, I heard the world the other day. Accountable health monitoring, safety standards should be in place, so I support the $750,000 that the county is proposing for a health study. And I also want to say that it's not just about the residents' health, it's also about our resources' health as well. We have a majestic aquifer below us. It has to be kept clean. Mahalo.
Thank you, Leilani. And next we're going to hear from Te Hanohano.
Aloha iai kākou o whepua hanohano ko ino o wau kaluna maka ainana mai ka apana e hā, mai ke aupuni o Hawaii nei mai ka pai aina o Hawaii. I am State House Representative Whepua Hanohano, District 4. Hanau mai o Puna, hanai mai Puna, e make ana mai Puna. Born and raised in Puna, I will die in Puna. O ku'u kahua, no ku'u ola ana oia no ku'u mau makua. O John Otuichi, kalei paihala, kainoa, ku'u makua kani. O hena, kauna kapu, ka mela mela, kainoa ku'u makua hini. The base of my being is my parents. They are my foundation. John Otuichi Kalei Paiala Hanohano Sr., Hana Kauna Kapu Kamela Mela Sr. O Ku'u Papa Hana Ma Alahinoa. My platform is simple. he koa. I am the courageous koa. I am bold, strong, and always challenging, like the koa found in our Vaukele, our uplands. Koa, kokua, always willing to help all people. Ohana, always treating people as family and treating everyone equal and fair, while embracing the aloha spirit of being loving and caring for all. My experiences, I'm a retired correctional officer, 25 years at Kulani Correctional Facility. So when Governor Linda Lingo wanted to close it down, it was a big fight for me because at that time, I was a second-term legislature and I was given the kuleana of being the chairperson of public safety. And with the help of Senators Kokuban and Senator Takamini, we went around the island to see what the impacts were. The impacts were great, but did the governor care? No. In fact, when she first started to run, she said that she was going to bring the inmates home. But then she got into the pockets of American Correctional Corporation. So that's how we warehouse inmates in the mainland. And finally, to the good deed of Governor Abercrombie and the legislature, today, Kulani is open. And I have been advocating for that ever since day one. And I told them the youth challenge should have never been there. It should have been down at the Kiokaha area. And today, look, Ike Kamaka. Now they see it. Well, mahalo ia oko no ko oko hele mai ana. Thank you all for coming here. And hela ahi ahi mai kai ia oko. Have a good evening. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Thank you, Vic. Next up is Mr. Brian Jordan.
Yeah, my name's Brian Jordan. This is my fourth time for trying to get in the State House. I really have no desire except for to solve the one problem that causes all our problems. The poorest education system in the country. We've segregated and socially promoted Hawaiians. We heard Harry talk about Kaimu. I came here in 1989 and Hawaiians were nice enough to let me stay in their houses in Kalapana. I woke up in the middle of the night, got hot, looked outside. I said, "Brother, there's an emergency." He said, "No, the house next door burning down. No big deal. Holly's gonna go." I said, "Damn, I don't know where you're from, but where I'm from, when the house next door is burning down, that's an emergency." So he said, "Well, let's go watch the trees explode." I thought he was kidding. No, it's true. Okay, what have I done here? I taught for 4 years. I was Who's Who of America's Best Teachers. What was my response? My principal referred to me as a haole and told me she didn't need me there. Illegally terminated me. But the great part was, she got terminated. She said I was inappropriately close to my students because I found out 3 of them were being raped. The father got 62 years, the union official's gone, and the principal's gone. So, you know what? I'm a pit bull. You want a chihuahua? Hire one. I did the neighborhood watch for 6 years. Not for just Pahoa, but for Hawaiian beaches, shores, and parks, because no one else wanted to get off their tail. That's why it's less violent. And I'm not saying that to be, I had other people help me. I had people like Maddie help organize it. I had help people like Renee help me get involved with local environmental stuff. Environmental, I'm a FEMA National Incident Management Commander. You don't get any higher than that. I'm sorry, folks. So if that wasn't good enough for your Sierra Club, too bad. I'm hurt. Okay. Yeah. So I'm getting over it. Okay. Now, Kalamana. I designed houses 14 years ago. The people are dead that needed those houses, but the plans are still available. Education is the only thing that's going to stop. And this diversity, this problem we're having with races, comes from being people pissed off and being poor and being taken advantage of. And if you don't educate them to be survivors instead of victims, it's on you. It ain't like I didn't try and tell you 3 times or 4 times.
Thank you, Brian. Next up is Julia Pele Ihawani.
Mahalo. Aloha mai kako. Aloha. My name is Julia Pele Iholani, born and raised in the land of Kalapana. I graduated from here 21 years ago. And now I'm looking at the chairs and I realize how little they are and how high our back stands. So I'm very grateful to this school who has given me an opportunity to become a leader, born a leader, dedicate my life to stand for the youth of Puna. With the trust and embrace through our kupuna, our elders, we must take care of them. They hold the solutions to what comes with all the issues. 3 generations vital. Your kupuna, who is the elders, makua parent, and our keiki, our children. 3 vital to all of us. Because all the knowledge must be passed down. When issues come about, we are prepared in 3 generations at all times. If you bring up issues to our youth today, they are not educated and informed enough to come up with a solution. We cannot allow ourselves to be stingy. We need to share education and we need to inform them. That's why I always ask, instead of us going out, we must start bringing them to us. That is very important. A lot of times we've been chasing a lot of things going out. It is about time we start bringing everything in so that Puna can be educated and informed about a lot of the issues. That I know is very important. Harry Kim stated and talked about Kalapana. When I stood there at the age of 12 looking at my home ready to be taken, Harry Kim allowed us to watch our home burn. That's why I sat there crying. That memory to me, so treasured and loved. When Kalapana was taken in May of 1990, my heart broke because that is the land that came to host a lot of people that moved to Puna. That is the land that shared the joy and knowledge of our Hawaiian culture to the whole Puna. That's why they went down to Kalapana. Today, my heart still rests with that land. And one day, I will go back to the land. My spirit will forevermore live in this land to make sure our kupuna, our makua, and our children is taken care of correctly. Again, my name is Julia. Pele Iholani. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Julia. Next up we have Joyce and Buenaventura. Did I say that right?
You got it. Thank you, Steve. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the Puna Pono Alliance. Thank you for even my opponents. We have run this campaign. This is my last forum prior to the primary. And we have run this campaign above board. I haven't heard any mudslinging. We have all been friendly with each other. I even wave at them when I see them sideways. And for that, I am grateful. As you folks have known, because you have seen probably in a number of forums, I've been a practicing attorney here for 30 years. I have represented Puna residents. Haven't really lived here until recently. My husband has lived here since '79. We have a house in Kalapana which we had wanted to pass on to our kids. We still pay $25 in real property taxes on that. I mean, it got overrun. I have voted. Last time I saw, it was like $25, $50. Okay. Okay. I have been, like I said, representing Puna residents for a while. And people who have seen, I have argued in front of the Hawaii Supreme Court. Recently, in December, I believe the decision came out in February. I was fortunate enough to have been able to relieve an unjust conviction of a poor Puna resident. That's why I'm running. I'm running because I have noticed in the past 6 years the slide into poverty of a number of people who are working citizens. Puna is the second poorest district in the state of Hawaii. I have seen, you folks know this, you could see the abandoned houses, the foreclosure signs. Judge Ibar came out with the state of the judiciary recently. 75% of all civil filings on this island are foreclosures. That's the reason why we see so many abandoned houses. That's the reason why we see so many squatters. I have talked to the County Democratic Convention. Harry Kim was one of also the presenters, as to the problems in the laws that prevent people, working people, who fell into poverty into working themselves out. One of the problems we have that I had Senator Kahele go through is to try to stop the payday loans that have proliferated solely to victimize working poor. I mean, 457% interest, that's ridiculous. Let's put a cap on it. Arizona, states like California, Arizona have actually outlawed them. Hawaii has not. Hawaii has in fact allowed them to flourish. We also need a safety net. Okay, these are part of the laws. You know, as a lawyer, when people come in, safety nets like in California, Florida, Texas, you know, some really Republican states, prevent people from going further into, I'm sorry. Anyway, I see connectivity as also one of our issues. You could see my brochures. I feel for the people in Puna. I have been endorsed by the Sierra Club, by Patsy Mink, and Pat. They also support me. They support. I am honored to be supported by them as I see them as, as supporting potentially good women politicians. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. You sneaked in a little bit more, but that's okay. And last but not least, we have Gary Thomas.
Aloha, I'm Gary Thomas. I know 3 minutes goes real fast, so just I'm going to take a couple minutes to tell you a little bit about myself and some of the things I'm concerned about. My wife and I grew up on Oahu, moved out to the Big Island about 20 years ago, HPP to be specific, and this has been our home ever since, with a couple of exceptions. We just spent a little bit of time in West Hawaii, courtesy of the DOE, who I work for, and also spent a little bit of time on the mainland taking care of some sick parents, and also I was deployed a couple of times. My wife and kids stayed here though. We have 6 kids, 10 grandchildren, with the 11th on its way. Right now, 2 of our kids and 4 of our grandkids live in HPP, just a couple of streets over from us. So we're very much invested in the community. Our other kids are in different parts of the Big Island and the state as well. A little bit about my professional background. I retired in 2012 after 27 years in the Air Force. I retired as a full colonel. Did 3 tours in Afghanistan, spent about a year and a half there. About half that time of that 27 years, though, was reserve duty, which I spent here. Actually, I was served with the 291st part-time here in Hilo. But all through the 90s, I worked for the DOE in special ed, actually right here in Boa Complex for about 4 years, in East Hawaii for most of the rest of that time. as far as being involved in the community, I coached all through the 90s. Of course, was with the DOE and special ed. I also co-founded a private K-12 school. I also co-founded another nonprofit that served families back in the 90s. In 2006, I co-founded with Pastor Ron Carmichael the Yeshua Center, which is still, it's in KL, it's still running. Actually, it's an award-winning program. It's averaging 130 to 150 youth a week coming through the program. I most recently well, in addition to that too, I've served in ministry for the past 20 years, also as an associate pastor. So I spent a lot of time in the community. Most recently, I managed the Youth Challenge program. I know Faye mentioned it a second ago. I was actually doing some other things, and I was asked to come in last summer to move the program down the hill, as well as oversee the program and the at-risk youth. I've spent 20 years working with at-risk youth and families, and that's the focus of my campaign. To me, the future of this community lies in the future of our families and our youth. Youth will grasp hope, and they will make progress, they will do things. I've seen that in Youth Challenge, and I've seen that in all the other programs I've worked in. And I'll have a chance to talk a little bit more later. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Well, it made my day. We finally mentioned education up here. I was ready to pack up and go home already, but education is a critical state issue and it should be more discussed. But I don't want to give you hints. Yeah, I got some pool up here. Leilani, this question is for you. Do we have a mic for it? Industry experts say that nighttime drilling will slow the process of drilling geothermal wells over 3 times, increasing the risk for accidents and increasing the cost of geothermal, costs that will have to be passed on to the consumer. Would you support repeal of the nighttime drilling ban?
Thank you, Steve. Not only would I support repealing this, allowing nighttime drilling, but I would start by saying for 20 years we have allowed PGV to function without proper accountability and without proper monitoring of our health and our well-being. So let's start there. Thank you.
Faye, this one goes to you, and it's right up your line. I heard you talk about your job in the prison system. I wonder what your thoughts are regarding the prison reform. How would you address the underlying causes of our prison population?
Well, whoever created this question, yeah, it is made for me. Because I've been in the prison system for 25 years, and I saw everything there. So when people used to ask me, what do you do as an occupation? So I said, I'm an adult correctional officer that recycles men back into society that education failed in the Department of Education. So failure is through the education. The failure of not educating them correctly and not mentoring and monitoring our people to be successful. So at Kulani Correctional Facility, because it's minimum community-based, this is the last stop for the inmates to make sure they can be productive citizens. So we offer them programs. We had the best sex offender programs in the state. It had national awards. And when they took away Kulani, they really took away the whole sex offenders program in the state. And also we had education program because it's mandated that all inmates at Kulani need to have their GED before they leave. So we prepped them for the work field. We also had food, we had job fairs for them, and people would actually hire them because at Kulani we had work lines. We gave them their certificates for auto mechanics and all the different, like the brakes and carburetors and whatever else. So thank you for listening to me, and that's my spiel.
Thank you. And Jordan, this one goes to you. and it's another one with questions and a question and a question. Act 97 did away with county permitting process for future geothermal development. Do you think the county should permit geothermal development? What sorts of issues should the county regulate? Should noise be considered? Should drilling hours be considered? Should location relative to neighborhoods be considered? The current permitting process regulate noise? Should they? Can I ask one question? Okay, you got that?
Hell no.
Okay.
First, Joy, I wasn't knocking you. I apologize. I was knocking that organization. It had nothing to do with you. So, just the way it is. Okay. No, I'm not. I didn't say anything about you, and I didn't mean it to be that way. So I just want you to take it the right way. Okay. First off, when we had a Councilman Nioli, we had $3 million worth of funds, and I asked to save $1 million so that we could have proper monitoring. And what was my answer? You wing them from the mainland, go away. I got it on DVD. As a matter of fact, the federal judge deposed me on it. So, you know what? Diversity is our strength. If you keep ignoring people that are from different places because you don't like them because they're whatever, don't expect progress. As far as PGV, the people should have some type of say where they say what they want. I can't tell you what to do. If I don't like drilling at night, I wouldn't want somebody drilling at night while I was trying to sleep. So I can tell you that. But I also wonder why the $1 million that I asked to be set aside for the monitors was never done, and why the clean room was never built that I requested when I was a citizen.
Thank you, Brian. Julia, this one goes to you. You know, some of these issues are bridge state and county issues. So this one's about GMO. Kauai has recently passed a county ordinance requiring GMO seed companies to specify what pesticides and fertilizers they are using for testing. The companies have sued, forcing the county to use taxpayer dollars to argue in court. Do you think the county should be careful not to pass ordinances that would require precious tax dollars to be spent in court in defense of the ordinance?
First of all, for any pesticides, if you can't pronounce it, don't use it. That I know. Because when we was here in the FFA program, we had to take care of the fruit flies here for the papaya. So when we did it, I couldn't pronounce it, so I didn't touch it. But when my teacher, Mr. Inouye here, informed me about it, helped me to pronounce it, now I know what it was all about and what it does. So be aware, GMO has been a huge hit to us. It has impacted us invisibly, and that I look at because that's not fair to our generation. Not fair. All these little things creeping around us does this damage to us, invisible damage. I look at people now, they need to be educated. That's why I keep coming back to that education about the young people needs to be educated. For GMO Kauai, when we had heard that, it has been an uproar for them. When you play with people's money, or tax people's money, shame on you for doing that to the people. Don't do that to our people. People need to be educated and informed and be very careful. If anything does deal with the courts, now I have a great friend that I will turn to. Thank you. So she can educate me as well, so that I may pass this knowledge on to my children and our youth. So be very careful. GMO, I am not for GMO. Labeling, I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. This one goes to Joy, and it's also a crossover between state and county laws. Act 97 did away with geothermal subzones. allowing geothermal development in all zoning areas, including agriculture and urban. Since one criteria for the subzone was that geothermal resources, water, hot rock, and permeability were present, the areas now open to geothermal development include areas that require fracking to increase permeability and bring in water to create a new geothermal resource. The county ban on fracking prevents use of this technology on the Big Island. Would you support repeal of the ban on fracking to allow more areas of the island to be used for geothermal development, allowing Lower Puna to not be the only area affected?
I will admit that other than representing in a criminal defense setting one of the original geothermal protesters, I was not as educated about the problems with geothermal until I started running for office. And then I could see the problems with fracking, especially in such a volatile earthquake zone that we have here. Especially since, as far as I know, we already have, our needs here on the Big Island have already been met. So any kind of geothermal development, it sounds to me, will benefit other than us. Yeah. So why is it that we are going to be suffering the effects of geothermal without any added benefit, and the only people benefiting is somebody else? So no, a Big Island discussion needs to be done as to the pros and benefits, as the benefits and the consequences. From what I'm hearing, the consequences are huge for us. Maybe not if it was over in Kona. I haven't heard about it from them. I mean, maybe if they allow fracking there and the geothermal subzones are there and they're for it, then great. Then, you know, I'm for fracking there. I'm not for fracking here. Thank you.
And Gary, guess what? Another fracking question. We got a lot of fracking questions today. The county has passed ordinances that ban fracking, that restrict use of genetically modified plants on the Big Island, and that restrict nighttime drilling for geothermal. Several folks in the state legislature have introduced bills trying to preempt these county ordinances, often with the justification that such local regulation is inappropriate and only the state or federal government should have the authority for such regulation. Do you agree that such laws are the purview of the state or the county, or would you support the county in determining how we respond to these things locally? What issues do you think are off the table and should be regulated at higher levels of government?
Okay, so multi-part question. That is all of it. First of all, I've always believed that you resolve problems at the lowest level possible. It's just a management maxim that you use. You also look to see what is the smart way to do things. And it may not be a way that you particularly believe in, but you look to see what's smart. So to decide what's smart is you've got to gather the information together. Personally, I feel that we need. I don't know if I would call myself an environmentalist or not, but we own a natural health business. We've been involved in this for many years. I'm very concerned about the environment. That's a big deal on my radar screen. So, yes, I would look very closely at any state laws that look to preempt anything that's going to impact the health and safety and welfare of this community. I would look long and hard at it. The whole geothermal question, I'm in the same boat as some have mentioned. I've been here for 20 years, have not been directly involved in it, but I'm learning, and the more I learn, the more I realize I need to learn. I've talked to some of the folks here even tonight. I need to sit down and talk and find out more about it, because I need to make a well-informed decision. I default to the safety and welfare of this community. we need to take a look at what our energy needs are, what's a smart way to go. But first and foremost, we need to take care of our people here in the community. I think I'm out of time.
Thank you, Gary, and stay standing because now we go to the round of 2-minute closing statements and telling the voters why you should be the choice. Thank you.
I was thinking about this earlier. There are a couple of what I call takeaways that I would hope that you would take away from what I talked about tonight about who I am. The first one being that I truly care. And those are not just empty words or smoke in the wind. I mean, I truly care about this community, care about the kids in the community, the families. My kids and grandkids are here. We've been here for a long time. I've been a public servant for 30 years, military, state, federal. I've been in ministry for 20 years, most of that in Puna here as an associate pastor. I've worked with the at-risk youth and families for many years here, and I really care about the community and the families and youth here. So that's one takeaway. Another one is also the importance that family plays in my life and the importance that family plays in the community I mentioned earlier. That's the future of this community, families and youth, and where they go, the community goes, looking at this long term. We have a lot of issues currently that we need to address, but looking at it long term for the health and welfare of this community. I think I'm getting ready to run out of time here, but let me just skip to my extensive leadership and management experience. I've managed all different kinds of organizations. I know how to motivate people, how to get people to come to the table, how to get people to buy into the vision that you're trying to push forward, how to get people to work together. I've worked in some very difficult environments with some disparate, very varied groups, getting them to work together towards a common goal. But last, I just want to mention that I'm committed to doing what's right. I've done that all my life. I'm 58 years old. I'm not going to change now. I'm committed to making right what has been wrong. I'm committed to, when we have the opportunity, to making things right from the beginning. That's what I bring to the table. And thank you.
Thank you, Gary. And next we have Joy.
Thank you. I'm asking for your vote, and I believe I'm the best candidate here because I know how government runs. I know through the, other than Hano and Julia Pelea one, I know that you need to have 26 representatives to get a bill through, thereafter 13, but only after a committee. And that's the same thing like everyone keeps asking about the GMO labeling, and I keep bringing up. We've tried it. We've tried it with Representative Lowen, brought it up. It got killed. They tried it again on March 14 by Representative Woolley in a gut and replace. And it got killed. I'm a lawyer. I know whenever there's a roadblock, you need to figure out how to get around it. Yes, we're all for GMO labeling. That's the only way really to coexist between the farmers and the consumers. We all want to know what we are eating, but we also need to know what works and what doesn't. If, in fact, Nicole Lowen's bill went through, or Cynthia Phelan's bill went through, we would have been the first state in the country to have passed a statewide labeling. But it didn't. And again, if Representative Woolley was able to gut and replace an existing ag bill and get labeling gone through in this legislative session, we would have been, yes, one of the first again. I believe Robert Petrucci testified in favor of that. You have to know the history in order to be able to work around it. I know the history, I study it, I know how government works, and that is why I'm asking you for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. And next one we have Julia Pelea.
Mahalo. Again, thank you, all of you. I've seen your faces at maybe all the forums, and this is my last forum. It is such a joy for me to experience my first campaign. My family thought I was nuts. I said, yes, that's why I was brought into this land. This land enjoyed having me as a humor person in my family. The reason why I run is my family so much love for me. To this day, my siblings and I have never picked a fight and never had an argument, ever. Pure love surrounds the family. That's why I talk about the Aloha spirit immensely. It is such a beautiful thing. By voice, you can stop the rain. By heart, you can move ocean. With embrace true family and love, can you do all impossible tasks. As young as I am, I dedicate my life to this land, yes, and I mahalo above. People argue and grumble about all the different types of weather. Not me. I adapt myself really well with this environment. And I thank the land again for giving me an opportunity to spread the joy, the love, the family, the health, words of wisdom, and most of all, our cultural practices. If at any time you need advice about this land, come see me. It would be an honor for me to share my joy of Puna to all of you. Mahalo.
Thank you, Julia. And next up we have Brian Jordan.
Make this short and sweet. I'm an educator. That's all I've ever done. And a learner, a lifelong learner. Politics, I grew up in Washington, D.C. When I was on Saturday mornings, I'd follow Tip O'Neill around. And you know how he made laws? He'd ask the people the question of the week. The produce girl, first thing he went to the liquor store, I gotta be honest with you. Okay? And everybody, and he'd get their answers. Every Monday they thought he's a freaking genius. He wasn't a genius, he just asked the people what they wanted. That's what you need to know about politics, it's all local. Environmentally, I've done what I can to respect this community. I've repatriated their EV, I've cleaned up their ecosystems, I've cleaned out invasive species, and I took the time to have Ed and Puakanahele try and train this dumb Haole on how to speak Hawaiian. I gotta tell you, still having a tough time with the vowels. Okay? And while I'm not Hawaiian, I'm Irish. And I know what it's like to come from a subjugated country. That's the way it is. And if we don't do something to restore some national pride, you're going to see more violence than you want to see. This is just what happened in the Civil Rights Movement. I hate to tell you this, but these remarks that we've been hearing by people, they're unfortunate, but you know what? There's only so much room in the pressure valve. And I'm telling you that education's the answer there too. To appreciate diversity. I was training officers in 1980. In 1974, I was a 10th grader. I had a general take an interest in my life and turn my life around and tell me that I'm not important. The only thing that's important is what you do for your brother.
Thank you, Brian. And we have Faye Pablo.
Mahalo again for all being here and taking the time of a beautiful day in Hawaii instead of sitting in this cafeteria. I was in Kona this morning because I was at the DLNR hunting and game management, and it's really important because it's something that impacts all of us, especially our resources. We're always talking about resources, the water, the animals, the plants, and yet everybody hasn't made it their kuleana and haven't made it their responsibility to be part of the solution. And a lot of the solutions are in our olelo ma'akuahi. It is in the Hawaiian language that you will find a lot of these solutions if you are versatile in both Hawaiian and English. Because the Hawaiian is very, very deep. We are very hohonu. We are not papa'u. But we have so many people here that are so ulina, so fake people. They are not truthful to themselves. They cannot have a relationship with a rock. They cannot have a relationship with the chair, with everything that is around us. From a Hawaiian lens, this is how we exist. If you look at the word aina, aina means food, na, many. Many food make us sustainable. So you see, our kupuna, and we're the Nahapua here, that will carry on what is indeed due to all of us for all the injustices that the outsiders have done to our land, raped our sandalwood, raped our koa trees, ripped off all of our ocean resources. And by the way, I am chair of Ocean Marine Resources and Hawaiian Affairs. And this has been a very good journey for me the last 8 years. But you know, I kind of tired being the media queen because a lot of people like to misinterpret and mischaracterize me because they haven't taken the time to be local. If you move here, integrate. Don't come over here and dominate. That's what it's all about. You all have to aloliki kako, and you guys all know this song. O nipa akako, o nipa akako. You see? That's what it's all about. It's all in our language. Mahalo.
Mahalo. And last but not least, we have Leilani, sorry. I blended that name. How's that? Bronson Crowley.
Yes, you blended it. Thank you. And I also want to let everyone know, and especially you, Steve, that I support funding of charter schools so that, as I was told, it is about not having enough busing for our children. There's not funding in the charter schools for food, lunches, and for facility improvements. So what I'm saying is I've got a whole nother page of issues and concerns, and that's why you want to vote for me. I focus on the issues and the concerns of Puna. I also embrace our diversity. I am not Hawaiian, although my first name is. I am Palauan Chamorro, and I've been in Hawaii since I was 10. And we are one at this point. I also embrace the wealth of our knowledge that is here. Your mana'o matters. It is your voice that I will take to the state legislature. It is your voice that I will make sure will be heard. And I'm here to tell you, like the state of Vermont and the state of Maine and Josephine County in Southern Oregon, we can label GMO at a state level. I will fight, I will make it work, and I will rock it till it does. Thank you.
Thank you, and how about another round of applause? And you voters are very lucky. Government is alive in Puna. We have seen many very qualified candidates today, and they've all done very well. So we're all the winners here when we have a dais like this. Thank you very much for coming out, and I'd like to thank Steve Hartman for doing a wonderful job of emceeing in the light of aggression. Steve.